I'm Mike Gross, and this is Nittany Next, and what comes next for Penn State is a much different deal than the last few weeks. They go to Ohio State, the #1 team in the country, in Columbus. It's a game changer potentially for Penn State in terms of the history of James Franklin, the history of their program, the history of the Big Ten maybe in the Eastern Division, but all of that is only possible if Penn State can find a way to win against a team that is clearly more talented than they are in Ohio State's best position group. The defensive line matches up against Penn State's worst position group, which is the offensive line. So on paper, it's hard to imagine how this can go well for the Nits. A couple things, though, to maybe look at. Last year, Ohio State really started on its run to a national championship around week 5, and they had a 5-game stretch where in 4 of those 5 games, they scored over 50 points and had over 500 yards of offense. The one exception in that stretch was Penn State, which held them under 400 yards, held them scoreless in the second half. This is a pretty good Penn State defense. It's slightly different from last year's, but pretty comparable in a lot of ways. And it's a similar Ohio State offense, which has struggled at times lately. So you know the drill, the things that I sort of call the swamp that can go either way in a football game. Turnovers, mistakes, penalties, big plays, etc. If all of that goes Penn State's way, they've got a shot. It's going to be very, very difficult, but it is going to be interesting to watch. I think Penn State has played well enough lately. They've won 5 in a row. Last week's win over Indiana might have been their most impressive performance of the year, that we could at least go out to Ohio State under the bright lights and maybe, if you're a Penn State fan, have a reason to believe. Thanks for watching. You can follow all our Penn State coverage on LancasterOnline.com, Twitter, and Facebook.